Let's just dive right to it and not waste any time. So, I've heard a lot of things going on TikTok and YouTube of people posting videos, and they rightfully made judgments on this game, calling it a bandit beater. One of the things I have heard that I wanted to clear up is that testers weren't doing their job. Now, I've been a tester since this game's infancy. And I wanted to correct this judgment because it's completely wrong in a sense that we testers have made hundreds and thousands of suggestions to correct things going wrong with this game. But the problem is we can make as many suggestions as we like. We can make them really well, very detailed. We could put a flat out blueprint that the devs could just follow and implement, and we could literally make the scripts and animations for them. But it's really just about whether or not the devs decide to add it or not. You have to understand that us as testers, we make a lot of suggestions on progression, new curse technique updates, changes with progression, changes with PvP, bosses. We've made hundreds of thousands of suggestions, but I'd say 99% of them are ignored. Um, I mean, look at it right now. We're on update one. We're planning to add culling games, another mode I forgot what it's called. The exchange event, and we're planning to add curse spirit manipulation, 10 shadows, and Mechamaru's curse technique. And in this game, it'll be a curse technique, but it's technically a heavenly restriction, but whatever. We're planning to add those when we have clearly seen techniques such as Sukuna's and Mahito's being very outdated. We have curse techniques such as that need love, yet they're planning to add 2 new modes and 3 new curse techniques, which doesn't make sense. Sukuna's curse technique only has 3 offensive moves, while with techniques like Hakari, Yuki, Mahito, and Gojo, you could run them on their own and do fine in PvP. If you have, let's say, a player of average skill for running each special grade curse technique and have them fight, and they could only run that single special grade curse technique, the first one to die would be Sukuna. I've heard arguments and suggestions where I've said that Sukuna needs an update or rework, but the highest ranked player runs only Sukuna. Well, I don't know if you haven't noticed, but the player base is not as good as this guy on average. You're trying to defend a very bad, to put it bluntly and nicely, curse technique, saying that the best player can run it, so why can't the player base? Well, you see the distinction right there, flat off the bat. Sukuna needs a rework or an update, whichever one. And the devs said, if it has to do with canon, don't make a suggestion. They don't want things to be canon, it's fine. But the biggest problem is, why the hell is cleave a dismantle like a mini world cutting slash instead of a grab move that then slashes? Because now you're like saying red reversal pulls people in when it actually repels, and then defending it saying, but this game doesn't want to be canon. Well, then what is this game at this point then? Might as well just, I don't know, do whatever you want then. Not even make it about Jujutsu Kaisen, just make it your own game. If you want to say don't make it canon. Like, there's things that I understand, don't make it canon. Because at that point then, like, Gojo would be OP as hell, and then Sukuna in a close second, and you couldn't, people would just automatically go for Infinity or Sukuna. I get that. But when it comes to getting the moves completely wrong, like cleave, it's not something that's crossing the line, at least in my opinion. Progression, I've seen and made suggestions for progression to be changed. but it hasn't. We face a lot of backlash when it comes to making suggestions on how PvP could be different or progression. In terms of progression, I've said that progression is really long, and as I said earlier, um, people want to bring out, oh, but we testers have fortune gourds, we have uh, damage gourds, wooden beckoning cats, we have dorayaki and takoyaki, right? But here's the problem. New players don't have this. This is not in their inventory. This is all this is not part of your average new player, right? So it doesn't make sense for you to say that. Like, it took me 2 days on mobile to get to max level. I did this on mobile in a car ride. 2 days with the boosts. For your new player, they're still at, like, I still see level 300 at most. The sweaty ones are at max level. The casual players are like between 100 and 200. New players at below 100. Which brings me to the next point. They heavily nerfed bosses, NPCs, you name it. Anything that has to do with PvE was nerfed. Forgot to include this in, but what I mean by bosses and NPCs were heavily nerfed. Their HP count was decreased as well as their damage. Let's say you got caught in a combo by an NPC now. It will only take a very tiny smidge of health away from you. Before, a quarter of your HP, maybe half, would be taken away from a single combo. That is the vast distinction between now and then. That is how nerfed NPCs and bosses are now. And I don't know the full story, but apparently, like, let's say, I think someone said 3 people said that, oh, NPCs are really hard and whatnot. And in the devs, as you could see on release, nerfed NPCs and bosses heavily. And that is why you see a lot of people saying, oh, the game is easy now. Well, you could thank these people that complained about the previous NPCs. So yeah. NPCs in the regular mission boards used to jump you, which, no one liked that. So now they just wait their turn essentially while you're attacking one, which is nice and all, but the NPCs themselves are very weak. Level 1 used to have only 700 HP, and now they have 1,400 at level 1. So by comparison, a level 1 is stronger than a starting NPC. And while also armor is level locked, which some things I understand, like having a level 1 do a domain expansion doesn't make sense, but like if they earned, like if they, let's say they get really lucky on a chest and they got, let's say, what's something that could get from the base chest in terms of tools, that is, let's say they got jet black, whatever, somehow. Let's just say that, even though it's not possible. Let's say that, because there's been instances where they get, let's say, cursed hand, right? Let's say you get lucky as a level 80 and get a cursed hand. You can't use it anyway, so it's useless till later on, which is a problem because, like, now you have players grinding over and over again doing the same thing, get rewarded with something like this, they can't even use it. Right? They get armors that are really good that would help them. They can't even use it because it's level locked. And let's just get into the specifics really quick. This is just going to be a short thing. Why do we have things that give mid stats and would have a really a good effect that would make up for it, yet only works against NPCs? It makes it redundant. Like, why would I use this? You never use this. Like this, I would use this. 1.25 times the rate for focus gain. Like, sure, the opponent will get that same amount too, but like if you're a really good player, not gonna happen. And even then, I don't know. And then ISO is a legendary that can't go against Mugen. But I can't even go into the canon because, again, like I said, the devs don't want things to be canon. So we just have a Mugen that you can't do anything against. You have no counter. Like the perfect nerf done to Mugen without actually nerfing Mugen itself is to literally have ISO be able to penetrate Mugen. You know. But I can't even go into the manga. I can't go into the anime. Because again, we gotta be careful with these testers that say, oh, but this can't be canon. You don't have any idea how many times I've made a suggestion on a curse technique or a rework of something, or just something to be tweaked and be told, oh, but it doesn't have to be canon. And Sukuna is one of the most touchy subjects. You have Fire Arrow, I forgot to say, that looks like it was made by an 8-year-old, with a long wind up, making it very, very hard to hit. It's and even when you hit it, it's not good comparable. Let's say Lapse Blue, that when you hit it, it pulls the person into a fine point, letting you combo start, while Fire Arrow flings them away. You have to really set up to land Fire Arrow in comparison to Lapse Blue, and you can't even chant Fire Arrow. Like, okay, Fire Arrow has been a very touchy subject. Let me just say this in suggestions, because you know some players say they want Nuke Fuga. Other players say no because then this gives Sukuna entire two maximums, right? But I've seen a Sukuna rework suggestion that takes away the forearms transformation and instead gives it Nuke Fuga that is done in domain. While the forearms you instead get from an awakening that makes your body bigger and you get the forearms, right? And I've made suggestions on awakenings too to buff them because a 8% increase on Black Flash is ridiculous. If you don't want to buff the damage, by the way, just increase the focus gain as well. That way, you know, then you could be like Yuji in a sense that you could use Black Flashes more leniently than the average person. So it's like things like that we made multitudes of suggestions, but it's just a matter whether or not the devs listen. So I wanted to clarify that. I'm sorry that you know, your progression is really long and tedious. It is. Even for me, I wanted to bang my head against the car window as I was progressing. Mobile support is good, I'd say. Not PvP though. Don't do PvP on your phone. PvP needs work. Progression needs work. NPCs could use some work, but I honestly couldn't. I don't script AI, so I couldn't help you with that, and that's the problem. You can make suggestions that are valid, but you're usually expected to almost give a blueprint to the developers on how to add it specifically. So, yeah. With testing, I was mostly the guy suggesting progressing, PvP, new curse technique updates mostly, and awakening tweaks and updates. Let's just hope, you know, in time, hopefully very quick time, that the devs do what they gotta do. I'm not gonna suggest anything. They know what they have to do. They listen to what the player base is saying, so we have to leave it up to them. I'm doing other things now with the game released. I'm at max level. I don't really have much to do right now. I'm just helping my friends get to max level and telling them what they need to do and tips. And I'll be making videos on a few builds for PvE, for stats, and PvP stats, builds you could use in PvP if you want to play as, let's say, I've heard someone ask me what build they could do with Mahito and Yuta, so, and also a build for HR, but I'll be making a video on that soon. I just wanted to clarify this because I didn't want the wrong message going out blaming testers, because there's been a lot of testers I know that have put their lives work into it. We have a guy, I call him Derp the Pro. He makes a lot of suggestions and has made them over the course of testing, and they have been very detailed and very fine-tuned and very, very good. And he's just a suggestion for 10 shadows he made. It took him a week to do. So when we make suggestion, we put a lot of effort into it. So despite our efforts, like I said, it's up to the devs whether or not to add them, right? So I just wanted to clarify that. So despite these ups and downs, and the things I dislike, I still play the game every now and then. More consistently, I update than play the game. I not update, I'll suggest for the game that hopefully in an update they add. Uh, just it's okay if you don't like it. I respect your decision. There's things I don't like either. I'm just sticking through it because I'm the kind of guy that even if I really dislike something going on, I'll do my best to stick around and hopefully it gets better. And that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping with the release and what people are saying around, the devs take this as constructive criticism and do what they have to do with the game, because I already made thousands of suggestions, so I don't need to make more with something they should already know what to do. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. I know it's a long one. I hope the fight videos I put into this will help entertain you while you listen. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll release new videos soon on builds and stats and a few tips here and there. Thank you guys so much. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.